The brains are braining session. The brain is an interesting, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Oh, I guess like something cool about my brain that I could talk about. Do you guys know what synesthesia is? I actually want to see how many people know about this. Yes, yes, there's one yes. You have that? The piano thing on YouTube? Okay, so here's the thing. So synesthesia comes in many different forms. I first became aware, I feel like for me, I've always had synesthesia. It didn't really develop for me. So there's different types of synesthesia. For those of you that don't know what synesthesia is, it's basically when two different senses of yours combine together. So an example is some people's sense of color will blend with their sense of hearing, or some people's sense of taste will blend with the sense of like recognition, or like that. So the type that I have is called Grapheme-color synesthesia. So what mine does is I see numbers and letters in colors. Basically, if I look at any piece of text that I can understand, there's a certain color associated with each number and letter. So like right now, I'm looking at chat. So my chat for me is like white text. Like I know the chat is white text, but at the same time, in my brain, there is a color associated with each text. So the best way that I can describe this is, do you guys know like those 3D glasses that one lens is blue and one lens is red? And when you put them on, you see red and blue at the same time? That's kind of how it looks like to me. Like I see the regular text color and the colors at the same time, but I don't see the color through my eyes. Like I see it in my brain. Like I know the color's not physically there, but in my mind, I can see like another version where there's color, if that makes sense. So that's the type I have, is Grapheme-color. For the one that, who said the piano thing? Ray. So the piano thingy one, so that one is called chromesthesia. That's what it's called, chromesthesia. So have any of you guys watched Pharrell Williams' like movie biography, the Lego one? He has chromesthesia. So where his sense of color and his sense of music combine together. So whenever he hears musical sounds, he can see colors. So that's called chromesthesia, where you'll play music or like a sound. It doesn't have to be music. For some people, it's just sound in general, and they'll see colors with sound. I actually have a friend. I forgot what the name of it is called, but hers is whenever she meets a person, they have a specific scent to them. Like everyone has like a unique scent to her. So when she first met me, she said I had a good scent. I forgot what she said my associated scent was, but basically that's kind of how she where each person she meets has like an associated scent. That kind of determines, I guess, like how close she gets to people. Because she said she's met someone, and to them, they constantly smelled like garbage to her, and she was never able to get along with them because of that. Like, not their physical scent. Like, in her mind, like, her brain was telling her that's what that person smells like. Like, it wasn't like a physical smell, if that makes sense. And it's something interesting, too, about synesthesia, because it's not hereditary. You just have to be born with it, basically. And I feel like mine, ever since I've been able to read, I've always had it. Like, I can't really remember not having it. Like, the second I was able to comprehend reading, like, I've always had it, basically. So the kid that told me red toy cars taste like strawberries was actually right? Yes. Yes. That is a form of synesthesia. I remember I was watching a documentary, because I remember I did, like, a report on this when I was in college for my public speaking class. And I was like searching up other types, because for me, for the longest time, I thought synesthesia only had to do with color, but that's not the case. Like other type of senses can blend together. So there's like people who have some associated with smells, some that have associated with taste. So it's very interesting how the brain can just be like that. Can smell your aura. Yeah, that's basically what my friend has. The one that if she meets you, you have a specific smell. And that's basically her like smelling your aura, like if you have a good aura or not. I've heard of synesthesia where they've trained to highlight mistakes in math problems. Okay, so for me, I I feel like my synesthesia has really helped me with memorization. Math is probably my strongest subject. My favorite subject is science, but math has always been my strongest subject growing up. And it's kind of the same thing too. Like the way what helped me memorize my times tables was the colors to each of the numbers. And if the colors didn't feel right, I knew that my answer was wrong. So I feel like I've never forgotten my times tables. And that's because like 9 times 8 is 72. And I know that because the colors look right, basically. Like the colors help me remember certain things. I think it was also reported that people who have Grapheme-color are naturally better at memorizing things as well. But that's basically what it was. Yeah, but for me, I've always had synesthesia. Like I remember when I was like 5 years old, I randomly said to my mom once, I don't remember how this happened, but I was talking to my mom and my brother, and I was talking about like, I remember I asked my mom, I was like, hey mom, like what colors do you see when you're reading? And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you know, like when you're reading and like the letters have colors, like what colors do you see? And I remember my mom was like, what are you on about? And I think it wasn't until like maybe 7 years later where somehow my mom learned about synesthesia, like Grapheme-color synesthesia. And then she approached me. She's like, hey, Crypta, remember that time you were 5 years old and you asked me about what colors that I see? And I was like, oh yeah, like what colors do you see, mom? Like, do you finally want to tell me? And then she was like, I think I know what you have. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, you have synesthesia. And I was like, huh? She's like, you have something called synesthesia. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, you can see numbers and letters and colors, right? And I was like, yeah. Like literally, I thought synesthesia was a normal thing because I always had it. And then when I learned that it wasn't normal, I was like, what? You're telling me this is not normal? Oh, when I was trying to learn Japanese, or I was trying to like learn kanji, like memorize kanji, bro, I experienced something I'd never seen before. My synesthesia was going whack. Because my synesthesia is linked to my ability to read or like alphabetized. And you know, like the way kanji is much different than our alphabet. At some point, my brain was understanding that I was trying to read something, but because it was in a different writing form that I wasn't used to, my brain didn't know what color to put everything. So at some point, the colors were just kind of merging together in my brain, like each symbol, I guess, character, didn't have an associated color for the longest time. Because like, for example, like let's say ka. Like to me, K is purple and A is red, but the symbol for ka is its own character. So my brain was trying to merge like purple and red together, but because it's not like it's more of a syllable rather than a letter, it didn't know what to do with it. So like purple and red were kind of like jumbling together, like fighting for dominance. It was so weird. Like I had never seen my synesthesia do that before, you know? So sometimes reading kanji can be a little bit difficult for me. Now it gets to a point where it seems like each symbol has 2 colors at once. Because my brain is trying to register, it's trying to understand the difference between a letter and a syllable as like a reading comprehension. So it's very crazy. it works very strange. I still feel like my synesthesia hasn't completely grasped onto how to associate the colors of kanji for me. It's still trying to figure it out.